thank you so much, Kevin. Thanks to everyone in the audience tonight. It's great to be here performing at the Search for the Triangle's Funniest Accountants for the 6th time. Unfortunately, the one weird thing about doing anything 6 times is that you run out of fingers to count with. And that's enough to make any accountant very uncomfortable. So I've been here 6 times before. I guess I've proven that I'm kind of funny and I'm kind of an accountant. But the question on everyone's mind is, are you any good at accounting? Well, I'm here to set the record straight tonight. I am damn good at accounting. I'll give you 3 reasons why. First of all, when I was a kid, I had my library card revoked because I was too much of a bookkeeper. Secondly, my biggest client is a multi-billionaire that has never paid any income taxes whatsoever. They've been in the news a lot lately. Have the initials DT. Yep, I bet you know them. Department of Transportation. But most importantly, I once posted the greatest journal entry in the world. Yeah, it's hard to believe, but it's true. Late one night, as we were finishing up the DOT audit, my supervisor came to our team and she said to us, "Post the greatest journal entry in the world, or I'll make you work 16 hours again tomorrow." So we looked at each other, and we said, okay. And we posted the first thing that came to our heads. It just so happened to be the greatest journal entry in the world. And then, none of you are all laughing because you're like, Peter, you're just ripping off Tenacious D at this point. I'm like, yeah, I know. Maybe it would be a little easier if you just considered this to be a tribute. So since I'm such an awesome accountant, I have lots of awesome friends as well. For instance, one of my best friends is the president of the National Sleepwalkers Association. None of us ever thought this guy would reach such a lofty position, but he got there by following his dreams. Another friend of mine is not only a genius mathematician, but he's also a stone-cold lady killer. He once confessed to me that back in the day, he was part of a love triangle that spanned the boundaries of 5-dimensional space. And last but not least, I have a close friend who's a biology professor at Shaw University and the owner of a 5-foot-long corn snake that he rents out for birthday parties, bar mitzvahs, and other social events. Can you imagine if this guy was around when we were kids? Yeah, Mom, I was thinking instead of roller skating for my birthday this year, I'd like to rent out that 5-foot-long corn snake and go hide that sucker in the ball pit at Chuck E. Cheese's. And then after I was done with that, the next day I could bring him to school and hide him in the desk of that one annoying kid that nobody likes. At this point, my mom would probably gently remind me that I am that one annoying kid that nobody likes. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of accounting these days, and in my off hours, I spend almost all my time either singing in the church choir or practicing my ballroom dancing. And you know, honestly, it's really starting to wear me down. It feels like day in and day out, it's nothing but the same old song and dance. And I have been trying to end my addiction to ballroom dancing, but I just keep relapsing. It feels like, like I'll take a couple steps forward, but then I'll take a couple steps back. A couple steps forward, a couple steps back. It never ends. But, yeah. And people are always like, Peter, are you doing ballroom dancing just so you can find some nice girl to marry? I'm like, no way, no. I don't think getting married is necessarily a good idea for me. Divorce rates are sky high these days because women have insane expectations for their husbands. These days, in 2016, to stay married, you've got to be like Brad Pitt or something. I'm not afraid to talk about this either. I tell my female friends all the time, like, you women get too emotional and defensive at even the mildest criticism. They're like, oh, no, we don't. It's just the same with this chick that keeps coming up in the presidential debates that apparently back in the 90s or something, Donald Trump referred to her as overweight. Honestly, I don't see what the big deal is. People were already calling her Miss Universe by that point. And everyone knows that nothing weighs more than the universe. Switching gears for a second. Let me tell you the thing I hate the most about my accounting job is having to fill out those CPE survey feedback forms before you can get any credit. You guys know what I'm talking about? Nobody likes these things. But it has given me an interesting idea that I've implemented in another part of my life. So I now send all of my hookup partners a survey monkey calling morning, asking them to rate me at various aspects. Question number 1. On a scale of 1 to 5, how charismatic and sexy do you find Peter Gross to be? 4. Peter's a fun, chill guy, definitely comfortable in his own skin, but the constant jokes and sarcasm are a little much. Does this guy think he's a stand-up comedian or something? Question number 2. Would you recommend Peter Gross to all your friends? There isn't actually an answer space, it's just a rhetorical question. And then the other thing I hate about my office job is the morning office meeting. Nobody likes this thing. You know, we used to be able to alleviate the pain by bringing in a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts, but that doesn't work anymore because everyone is so worried about their weight. You know, these days, if you bring in Krispy Kreme donuts in the morning, bring in a dozen, that night, you're going home with a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts. And you know who's going to eat all of them? You are! That's right, because it would be a shame to let food go to waste. After all, it's not like food grows on trees or anything. Anyways, that's why I've come up with a much better idea. Instead of bringing donuts to the morning office meeting now, I bring the 5-foot-long corn snake. Because my coworkers are cowering in fear in the corner. At least they're not having to worry about their diet. The 5-foot-long corn snake. Alright, my time's almost up, but before I go, I'd like to get serious here for a moment. And, you know, I've been thinking a lot about death recently. I'm thinking about death, I'm thinking about my own death. And I've come to the conclusion that I don't necessarily want to die some kind of big, dramatic death like a lot of people do. Instead, I'm just going to do things my own way. Simply peter out. Peter out!